Hi, good morning, friends. Have you ever thought how lucky we human beings are to live in this wonderful planet Earth, enjoying all its natural resources for our different uses? As you know, this wonderful planet is a home to many beautiful creatures, including birds, beautiful insects, aquatic creatures, and of course, wild animals. From time immemorial, human beings have been taming these wild animals for his different uses to help him in his different works. Thinking about wild animals and how to identify them often makes me remember a poem that is included in your syllabus, in your textbook, titled How to Tell Wild Animals. Here, how to tell wild animals means how to identify wild animals, how to discern wild animals. Before I say something more about the poem, let me tell you something about the poetess. This beautiful poem is written by Carolyn Wells. Carolyn Wells was born on 18th June 1862 in the United States. She is mainly known for her popular mystery stories, children's books, and humorous poems, of course. In the present poem, How to Tell Wild Animals, Carolyn Wells is suggesting some humorous ways to identify certain wild animals. The poetess uses a lot of poetic techniques and devices to make the poem more beautiful, more attractive, and pleasant for the reader. Okay, let us find out what are the humorous ways to identify these wild animals as suggested by the poetess Carolyn Wells. In the first stanza, Carolyn Wells is introducing a wild animal, an Asian lion. How to identify an Asian lion? The stanza goes like this. If ever you should go by chance to the jungles in the east, and if there should you advance a large and tawny beast, if he roars at you as you're dying, you'll come to know it is the Asian lion. The poet says that by chance you move through the jungles in the eastern part of the world, and there you find a very large and tawny beast approaching you. Tawny is a mixture of brown and yellow color. A large and tawny beast comes towards you and it roars and you are dying out of fear listening to that roaring sound. Then you can make sure that you can identify that it is an Asian lion. So you have to die out of fear listening to the roar of the lion to identify it to be the Asian lion. Funny, isn't it so? So in the first stanza, if we analyze the first stanza, you can find that the poet has used a number of poetic devices to make the poem look more attractive, appear more attractive and pleasant for the reader. So first we will find out the rhyme scheme of the poem. So listen to the last words of every line. So if you should go by chance, first line ends with the chance, and it rhymes with the third line, advance, chance and advance. Similarly, east and beast, third and fourth, second and fourth line, and the last fifth and sixth line, dine and line, dine and line. So we have the rhyme scheme A, B, A, B, C, C. A, B, A, B, C, C. We have the same rhyme scheme in all the stanzas. The same rhyme scheme is used by the poetess in all the stanzas. And you will listen to the third and fourth line. If there should to you advance a large and tawny beast. The third line you will notice that there is a problem with the word order. The words are not properly arranged. Words are reversed actually. So when the poets use words in reverse form, not in proper order, that is called inversion in poetry. It's called inversion. When words are not properly arranged, not in proper order, that is called inversion. So that line is an example of inversion. If there should to you advance. So it has to rhyme with the chance. That is why that inversion is used there. So I'll give you another simple example of inversion. For example, if we say, it was a wonderful experience. You say it was a wonderful experience. And the poet may say it was an experience wonderful. Instead of a wonderful experience, an experience wonderful. So that type of usage is called a inversion in poem. And then you might have noticed the last word of the last but one line, dine, D-Y-I-N. You are dying out of fear. Dying should be dying, but instead of dying, the poetess has used dine, because it has to rhyme with the lion, dine and lion. So that type of using words with a different spelling is an example of poetic license. This is what is called a poetic license. Poets have a lot of license, like changing the spelling, changing the word order, using a line without any grammar. So these type of usages are called a poetic license, right? So here an example of poetic license is dine. Spelling is not at all correct. Instead of D-Y-I-N-G, the poetess has used a different spelling, D-Y-I-N, because it has to rhyme similar with the lion. Then moving on to the next stanza, the poet is introducing you to the Bengal tiger, how to identify a Bengal tiger. So the stanza is like this: or if sometime when roaming round a noble wild beast greets you with black stripes on a yellow ground, just notice if he eats you. This simple rule may help you learn the Bengal tiger to discern. You are roaming around, you are wandering around, you did not stop your journey, you move around, and there you find a noble beast. A noble beast. You see how it looks? Very majestic, isn't it, sir? Noble beast. Noble at the same time wild, contrasting noble and wild. So this beast greets you. You come across such a beast. Then what is particular about that beast? With black stripes on yellow ground. It has black lines, black stripes on the yellow coat, yellow ground, yellow coat. The only thing that you have to notice is whether he comes and eats you. Then that simple rule will help you learn that this is the Bengal tiger. Funny, isn't it so? You have to become a prey to, food to the tiger to identify it to be a Bengal tiger. So the only simple method is you simply see whether the animal comes and eats you up. Then we can identify it to be the Bengal tiger. So this is the humorous way of identifying a Bengal tiger. Then in the second stanza also you have a lot of poetic devices used. In the first line you find the word roaming round. Two words are used there. Roaming round is what is called alliteration. Alliteration is exactly the use of similar consonant sounds in the beginning of nearby words. Use of similar consonant sound at the beginning of nearby words. So roaming round, r sound is repeated in the beginning of other words. So this is what is called alliteration. The poets use this type of techniques to increase the musical effect, the rhythm of the poem. So it's a beautiful example for this alliteration in a poem titled The Sands of D by Charles Kingsley. So Charles Kingsley in his Sands of D has used a beautiful alliteration in a line. So the poem starts like this. The first stanza is like this: "Oh Mary, go and call the cattle home, and go and call the cattle home, and go and call the cattle home. The western wind was wild and dang with the foam, and all alone when she." See, the western wind was wild and dang with the foam. V sound is repeated in the beginning of nearby words. Western wind, we will pronounce it here wind, not instead of wind we pronounce it wind. The western wind was wild. You see the rhythm. So this is for this musical effect and rhythm the poets use alliteration. So this is a wonderful example of alliteration. So alliteration is the use of same consonant sounds in the beginning of nearby words. And now moving on to the third stanza, the poetess is telling humorously the way to identify a leopard. If strolling forth a beast you view, whose hide with spots is peppered, as soon as he has leapt on you, you will know it is the leopard. It will do no good to roar with pain, he'll only leap and leap again. So you are strolling forth. Strolling is a leisurely walk, a lazy walk. You are strolling forth. You are walking very leisurely, and you are in sight of another creature. What is special about this creature? His hide, his skin, has a lot of pepper-like black spots, whose hide with spots is peppered. Pepper-like black spots are there all over his hide, all over his skin. As soon as he has leapt on you, as soon as he has jumped on you, you can identify it to be the leopard. It will not help you to roar with the pain. It will not help you in any way if you are roaring in pain, because the leopard will leap and leap again. It will jump and jump again. It will attack you the more. So that is how you can identify a leopard. First, you find whether the creature has black spots, pepper-like black spots on its body, and the moment it jumps on you, it leaps on you, you can identify it to be the leopard. And it will not help you in any way to roar with the pain, because the leopard will leap and leap again. It will attack you the more. In this stanza also, the poetess is using a lot of techniques, devices. So there are instances of alliteration, instance of inversion, and instance of poetic use of poetic license. So the second line, you can find whose hide. Her sound is repeated, even though the word starts with a W, the pronunciation is her. Whose hide. Similarly, in the third line, he has. These are examples of alliteration. And similarly, whose hide with the spots is peppered is an example of inversion. It should have been whose hide is peppered with the spots. Whose hide with the spots is peppered. So that is an example of, again, an example of inversion. So it has to rhyme with the leopard, peppered and leopard, right? So that's why that inversion is used. Similarly, you'll find a lot of poetic license in the form of leapt. Instead of L-E-A-P-T, leaped, the poet has used leapt because it should rhyme with the leopard, leapt and leopard. Similarly, twill do no good. So that starts with twill do no good. It starts with T. So there the poet has used the poetic license. Similarly, leap and leap again. Instead of leap and leap again, it will leap and leap again. So instead of that, the poet has used leap and leap again. So because it has to rhyme, it has to sound similar with the leopard. Leopard, leap and leap again. So that increases the quality of the music. That's why I told you she uses a lot of techniques to make the poem more enjoyable, more attractive. So these words are words with different spellings and different pronunciation. Actually exactly used for the musical quality, and these are instances of poetic license used by the poet. Then you are moving, strolling forth, even, and you are in sight of another creature. Poetess is telling you how to identify a bear. So if when you are walking around your yard, you meet a creature there who hugs you very, very hard, be sure it is the bear. If you have any more doubt, I guess he will give you just one more caress. You are walking around your yard, and there you meet another creature. It comes and hugs you very, very hard. The moment it sees you, it comes and hugs you very, very hard. Then you can identify it to be the bear. So you may have heard of the expression bear hug. Bear hug means a very close and tight hug, right? So if you meet a creature in your yard, and if it comes and hugs you very, very hard, you can identify it to be the bear. And if you have some doubts still in your mind, whether about the strength of the animal or whether it is a bear or not, then your doubts will be cleared, because it will give you a caress, a loving touch, a loving pat with the sharp claws that can rip you open, right? So then you can identify, your doubts will be cleared, and you will come to know that it is a bear. Very funny. The funny way of identifying a bear. So it comes and hugs you very hard, and if you are still doubtful about the strength and whether it is bear or not, then it will give you one more caress, and then you will come to know, you will understand, you can understand that, you can discern that it is the bear. So caress is a pat, a loving touch, right? And a bear's scales is very strong with its sharp claws. Can be very dangerous. So with that you can come to know it is a bear. Okay, then similarly, so this stanza also, like the other stanzas, you have a lot of poetic devices. Here you find examples of alliteration, examples of repetition. So here the poet on the third line has used very, very hard. That is an example of the poetic device called repetition. Very, very hard. And you have examples of alliteration in words like your yard, walking around your yard, then who hugs. So these are examples of, again, alliteration. Then, so the next stanza, the poet is suggesting ways to identify or distinguish a crocodile from a hyena, especially to a novice. Novice, a beginner. Novice is a beginner who has no idea about the crocodile or hyena. These are beasts of prey, animals that feeds on other kills and eats other animals, animals that kill and eat other animals. They are called the beasts of prey. And for a novice, a beginner who hasn't got any idea about these creatures, the poetess is giving some certain ways to identify a crocodile from a hyena. Okay. So she says, though to distinguish beasts of prey, a novice might nonplus, the crocodile you always may tell from a hyena thus. Hyenas come with merry smiles, but if they weep, they are crocodiles. So, though to distinguish beasts of prey, to differentiate beasts of prey, a novice, a beginner may get confused. A novice is a beginner, might nonplus, might confuse. Actually, there is a grammatical error in that line. A novice might get nonplussed. So that should be the correct usage. Grammatically correct usage. A novice might get nonplussed. Instead of a novice might nonplus. Novice is not confusing anybody, but instead he gets confused himself, right? So a novice might get confused to identify, to distinguish a crocodile from a hyena. So he doesn't have any idea about how a crocodile looks and how a hyena looks. And if he has that doubts, then the poet says that there is an easy way to identify, to distinguish these animals. So he can identify, novice can identify a hyena from a crocodile in this way. If the animal comes with merry smiles, it is hyena, and if it weeps, it is crocodile. So hyena's call, the sound it creates actually sounds similar to that of a human being laughing, and often it comes showing its teeth, and that is why the poet says that a hyena comes with smiles. If the animal that comes towards you comes with a smile, then you can identify it to be hyena, and if the animal sheds tears, you can identify it to be the crocodile. So always we speak about crocodile tears. This is saying crocodile tears. It is said that a crocodile sheds tears while it is swallowing its prey. So crocodile tears, false tears. So if the animal is shedding tears, you can identify, the novice can identify it to be the crocodile. So that is how you can identify or distinguish a crocodile from a hyena. So as suggested by the poetess. So here, as I told you, the poet has used a poetic license in that line, a novice might nonplus, because it has to rhyme with some other word, right? Nonplus has to rhyme with some other word in the coming lines. So the correct usage, grammatically correct expression is a novice might get nonplussed. So this is also an instance of poetic license. Then the last stanza, there the poet is introducing a chameleon. So the true chameleon is small, a lizard sort of thing. He hasn't any ears at all and not a single wing. If there is something on the tree, it is chameleon you see. So the poetess is telling that a chameleon, you can identify the chameleon like this. It is a very small creature appearing like a lizard. It's a lizard sort of thing. It hasn't any ears at all. It hasn't any wings. And you are looking at a tree and you are not seeing any creature initially. You think that it is empty of any living creatures. And if you look very carefully and find some other creature, a creature there, then you can identify it to be the chameleon. So with the first look, you feel that the tree is empty of any creature. Empty of all creatures means no creature is there. But if you are looking very intently and you are finding out a creature there, then it can be the chameleon, because it has the technique of changing its color, right? So that's why the poet says that with the first look, you may not be able to find any creature on the tree, but if you are giving a careful look and if you are able to find a creature there, then that can be the chameleon. So these are the funny, humorous ways of identifying these animals as suggested by Carolyn Wells. I hope you enjoyed the poem. Okay, thank you.